The first step in creating a logo is the design brief. This is when the client discusses the projects at length with the client. Understanding the company's goals for the logo is critical. The designer should gather as much information from the client as possible. It is important to learn where the logo will be used, on what scale, and in what capacity. A logo that will be used on a billboard might contain more detail than a logo that will be used on a letterhead or business card. The designer should also learn about the company's target audience. A new logo might be a chance to start fresh and create a brand new visual identity, whereas in other circumstances, it might be important to the client that some sort of consistency is maintained. Step 2 is research. Once a sufficient amount of general information has been gathered, the designer must dive deeper into the research stage. Often clients cannot verbalize exactly what they envision for the logo, so it is the client's duty to make information from the client. Asking relevant strategic questions should help the client pass on any other information. In addition to speaking directly with the client, the designer often does more research on the company and its competitors. Step 3 is brainstorming. Identifying keywords related to the company and its product or service is a common practice at this point in the creative process. These words will be used to inspire possible visual representations of the company. Once ideas begin flowing onto the page in text form, visual symbols and shapes will begin to take form also. Now it is time to begin conceptualizing the themes and texts established earlier during the brainstorming phase. Sketching these ideas on paper is an essential step that encourages the designer to slow down and examine all possible angles and directions. Step 4 is the draft production. Once sufficient time has been spent on research and sketching, the draft production begins. Digital implementations is usually executed using Adobe Illustrator. At this point, the most successful ideas developed during the sketching phase will be recreated onto the computer. They will begin to come to life with the addition of color and detail, and they will be tweaked until they accurately represent the client's wishes. Some logos rely solely on words or text, called wordmarks, while for others, text is just one piece of the puzzle. Regardless, it is important to note that choosing the typeface will set the tone for the whole logo. Step 5 is take a step back. At this point, many designers will step away from the project for a brief time. This break acts as a time of reflection, giving the designer a chance to return to the project with a fresh perspective. This may also be a good opportunity to gather feedback from unbiased outside parties. Designing a logo can be a very involved process, so gaining insight from an extra pair of eyes is highly beneficial. Step 6 is the client's feedback. Now that a number of options have been created, the most effective choices are presented to the client for consideration. Usually, a written description of the project will accompany the logo options. At this point, the client should consider the ideas and respond with notes. The designer then takes the client's feedback into consideration and makes changes accordingly. The improved logo is presented to the client. Often there are many rounds of revisions before the client is satisfied with the final product. Step 7 is delivery. Upon delivery of the final files, it is time to think about employing the logo on marketing materials and promotional products. Many times the designer will continue working with the client to create full brand identity system using the new logo.